Hey everyone, my name is Yamuna Biharidas and I am your conscious money coach. Super grateful that you're here. We're going to spend the next about an hour together just diving deep into these principles. And I'm going to give you an overview of really the mindset that you're going to need to move into 6 and 7 figure business. And then we're going to dive into my process and some of your next steps. So before we begin, I just want to share a little bit of my story that I started my own business about 7 or 8 years ago, and it started very small. Before that, I was living as a monk, and I think at that point in my life, and for most of my life, I prided myself on pretty much not having any money, but being able to do a lot of experiences. I would always travel the world, backpack through different countries, and money for money's sake wasn't something super important or valuable to me, personally speaking, but the experiences of life were. And I think through my time shaping my mindset, my character, and all that within the monastery, one thing that became evident towards the graduation of that phase of my life, I knew I wanted a family, I knew I wanted a business, I knew I wanted all that, and that the monastery was just a training ground for my consciousness so I could do all of that in an aligned way with my own spiritual values. So I would say for me, money for money's sake wasn't important. But when I began to look at the broader view of what I wanted to do and who I wanted to be and how I wanted to serve, I think when I realized, having my own home, supporting my family, um, having children, having an incredible community, supporting my gurus, going on pilgrimage every year, having the coaching and the training and the mentorship I need in my own life to really thrive in every single area of my life, those things are extremely important to me. And I'd love to have all those things. And that has a large financial component behind it. So I think many of us have a lot of mix-ups around money. Um, a lot of us, especially because we're in the conscious, wellness or consciousness industries, that we have some value conflicts around that. So we're going to be, dissecting that today and diving deep into this. So I'm really grateful you're here. Here's what we're going to be studying. So if you're here, you probably have an incredibly wonderful vision for your business and your life, and you're just feeling the same way that I did, where you just don't know how to make it real. Generally, when that happens, it's quite frustrating. You feel like there's a lack of clarity, like something more is available. And what for me starts to indicate that that is true is you begin comparing yourself. Maybe you feel jealous or envious of those around you. You see other people succeeding with things similar to what you want to do, and you think, why am I not doing that? And really, it's less of a commentary about the people around you and more of a commentary about your own internal potential that's not being actualized. And that is what's pushing you to judge and to compare and all that outside of you. So maybe some of that's going on for you. If you're here, you probably want your business to become more easeful, joyful, and aligned with your spirit. So, maybe it's become really hard. You started your business, obviously, to serve and to help other people and to bring more goodness to the world. But unless you have the right principles, the right strategy, the right mindset, and the right tools, it can easily become hard work and take you away, disconnect you from the very purpose of why you started your own business. And so we want to heal that. We want to heal that wound and make every part of your business, every single part of what you do, from the back end to the front end, be joyful and be easeful. You don't have to work harder to make more money. You want to know how to bring in more aligned clients that are excited to actually work with you. So maybe what's happening right now is you have clients you're excited to work with, but maybe you're not charging what you want, or you feel like the clients that are out there won't pay what you really want to charge. And so you're kind of lowering your standards so that other people can actually work with you. And generally what I find is when you do that, the level of their seriousness is lowered. The level of your potential client seriousness is lowered because they don't have a large amount leveraged as like a pressure to actually do the work that they hired you to do. So what happens when you don't have business mastery is you'll accept anybody who will pay you, which unfortunately is the case for many people's businesses, but not for mine and not for any of my clients. I don't want to work with people just because they'll pay me. I want to work with people because I feel 100% excited about helping them and aligned with them, and feel like they're completely grateful and also excited to pay me at the rate that I'm asking them to. So all that together, your alignment with them should equal their alignment with you, instead of just whoever pays me is okay. Okay, if you're here, you probably want to master money in a way that's aligned with your values and characters. So like I said, living as a monk, for me, money, especially in spiritual communities, was seen as something not that spiritual, unfortunately. And it kind of creates a certain poverty mindset that makes serving anybody really hard and having a thriving existence really hard, because other people, can have more at the expense of myself. That's basically the philosophy that a lot of service care providers and coaches and entrepreneurs use, is that other people can have more in their life through my services at my own expense, and I have to sacrifice something and kind of become a martyr. So we don't want to do that anymore. We recognize that if we understand how to master money, it means we can serve way more people, right? So I ask people this all the time. Can you serve more people with more resources, or can you serve more people with less resources? Many people think that, you can serve more when you have less. That's called martyrdom consciousness, and it's not really of service. It's not sustainable. If you're here, you're open to the possibility of growing your impact and income in tremendous ways. So if you're thinking that I'm just going to teach you how to slightly increase your income, or, add 1,000 on or something like that, you're in the wrong place, because I think you could just do that on your own, or watch a few strategy YouTube videos and, work a little bit harder and do that on your own. I completely believe you could do that. People hire me when they want to create exponential growth in their business, when they want to 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, 10 times, 12 times their income. So my goal ideally with people is to turn their annual income into their monthly income. When I first heard that, my mind was blown, and one of my friends had gone through a coaching process, and I just was like in shock. I didn't know that that was allowed. I didn't know it was possible. I thought maybe it was something immoral or misaligned with my values, for my spiritual tradition. And when I got exposed to that coaching and those strategies, I realized that it actually asked me to be more in alignment with who I am in order to get more of what I want. And that's exactly what I teach people too. To get what you want, you have to be more of who you are, and melt away all those parts of you that have doubt and subconscious blockages. What will other people think? A trillion blockages that we could have. If you're here, you probably have quite a few limiting beliefs and misconceptions around running a business that are keeping you stuck. So there's hundreds of them. I have to work really hard. I don't deserve money. I don't deserve success. Ad infinitum, we could list different beliefs in there. Many of them are running your business. So you are here if you want to overcome those, so you can actually create exponential impact and exponential growth in how you're serving other people and how you're growing your income. All right. So, here we go. So we're going to cover the mindset needed to get you to 6 and 7 figures this year, right? Not in 5 years, not in 10 years, but this year. Done it with many people. How to rewire the way you work so everybody gets more. The practical steps needed to exponentially increase your income with your coaching, healing, or service-based business. So, of course, these are the sort of main people I help. I've helped many people, including chefs, including people who help, men overcome pornography, many different types of people. But I like to help people who are really have a big heart, who want to serve other people, who want to help people in some sort of holistic way that's aligned with my values. I don't really care to help people who are just trying to make money for money's sake by exploiting other people or, something like that. And then I'm going to give you some of your next steps and share some of my client stories as well that are just truly inspiring to me. All right, let's do it. So step 1, I believe, for pretty much any change that you want to make in your life is self-mastery. So unless you rewire the realm of thought and rewire, how you're connecting with yourself and your vision, it's not going to actually happen. So you're here because you know you have something to give to the world. There's something really special that wants to move through you that's incredibly valuable that only you can give. Okay? You were given this thing to re-gift to the world. So how I like to think about it is that, each of us were given an incredible gift. And when you think about a child, for instance, a small child can receive gifts from its parent. And as long as that child is, somewhat grateful, actually uses the present or the toy or whatever it is, and recognizes what it's been given, the parents will just continue to infinitely give to that child. So in the same way, we've been given a tremendous amount through our life experience, through our consciousness, through our desire to serve others, and then of course through the technical skills or training or talents that we've been trained in, okay? And all of those are our gifts to the world. And what our duty is we've been given everything, we've been given all those things, and we have to just recognize what we've been given and be grateful for what we've been given in a deep, deep way. And naturally, gratitude in its real essence means to become indebted. So we become, there's no way to pay it back because we've been given so much, but we can always pay it forward to the world. And that is really what a business is paying forward the goodness that we've received in our life out into the world. And that requires self-mastery. That requires operating from a place of fullness, operating from a place of vision. And all these things that so many people experience, insecurity, doubt, imposter syndrome, all get in the way. And it's really just the ego, right? There's two sides of the coin of ego. There's one which is like, what we consider quote unquote egotistical, which is, being boastful and annoying and super prideful, like arrogant pride, And then there's the other side of the spectrum, which is like self-deprecating and like, I can't do it and I'm not worth it. And, nobody's going to sign up and how will I be successful? Those are actually two sides of the same coin of untrue ego, like super unhelpful ego tactics. One of them is just like, in your face, and the other one's kind of behind the scenes and it's trashing your own self. Both of those are super unhealthy. We want to come to a healthy place of ego and connection that basically is recognizing you want to completely raise the standard of your human experience, which is why you want to raise your income. You want to serve way more people. You want to have everything you need to thrive from a place of fullness. You want other people to have that too. And you believe that it doesn't have to come at your expense. Everybody can have more. Okay, so this mastery is defined by ease. When you're in the flow of giving your heart to others, helping other people, it feels easeful. So every part of your business should be permeated by this self-mastery and this space of ease. Okay, so I want you to think just for a moment. You can write this down, pause the video even if you like. What is your mastery? Okay? Now, I want to differentiate between the medium of your work. So the medium for me is like Ayurveda, business coaching, one-on-one, training people in their health. That is like the medium through which my mastery flows, okay? So whatever technique you use, that's your medium, but your mastery is who you are. What is it that you bring that no one else can bring? And there is definitely things that you bring that no one else can bring, which is why you exist on this planet. So like your desire to serve, your heart, your vision, your gratitude, your compassion, your generosity, right? How do you care for people? How does it move into the world? Where does it make you come alive when you're serving others, right? Where does your mastery come alive? These are things that are important to really tap into deeply, 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 or else your business won't have potency, right? Step 2 is desire. So take a deep breath with me and exhale. I like to do that always so we can just kind of refocus. Desire is something that's been spoken about in pretty much every single wisdom tradition ever, because they understand the potency of desire, and that desire pretty much forms the entire pathway for your existence. So here's the formula of desire and why it's so important. Everything starts from the realm of thought. Your thoughts impel you to act. So whatever you're thinking, it forces you to act in a particular way and actually do something. Those actions form habits. Those habits form your character, and your character attracts a particular destiny. Okay, so if you're having really horrible thoughts all the time and self-deprecating thoughts, and you can't do it and you're not worth it, that'll be reflected in pretty much every subsequent part of that chain reaction. It'll be reflected in how you act. It'll be reflected in your character and your habits and in the results that you're getting in life. So everything is cause and effect, even our thoughts. So that's something super important to recognize, because desire can be harnessed to get the results that you actually want. And if you don't understand how to properly harness desire, like most people, maybe externally you desire it, but there's also all these conflicting beliefs in there that block you from really desiring it. And I think that's true of most people who have a business. They believe my service is great, and people should sign up with me, and it'll be such a great service to their life. And simultaneously they have all these self-deprecating thoughts or blockages around money or beliefs around success that are in direct conflict with the impact that they want to make on others, but they don't realize it. They think that those are separate things, and then they wonder why they're feeling frustrated in how their business is going. All right, so what I want to say is most of us confuse the desire part and like wanting more for step one. And without connecting to yourself and your own integrity and your own values and vision deeply, we launch straight into, well, I want this and I want that, and like this is how I want my life to go. But what use is desire if it's not steered in the proper direction? If it's not grounded by the right foundation, it becomes very destructive, and we see that everywhere around us. And of course, most of you are not going to be destructive human beings, but maybe it'll just result in dissatisfaction and doing things that are not aligned and things that are just not meant for you in this life, including many parts of your business. Most of us have not been allowed to want what we want in general. So what happens when you don't allow yourself to want what you want, which of course, what I'm speaking of is not like wild out in this world and just go crazy. And like, I don't think if you're watching this video and if you found me, you're a conscious entrepreneur, I don't think that's you anyway. But what I want to say is those aligned desires, most of us don't allow ourselves to actually want them. And what happens when we don't is we begin to blame other people. We begin to blame our parents, blame society, blame our boss, blame the environment, blame COVID, blame a trillion things. And that helps us alleviate the pressure of self-responsibility for sure, so that it's everyone else's fault. Then we become envious. We start to judge and compare, become jealous of other people who are more successful. And we start to, rationalize like, oh, well, they're just greedy. They got lucky. It's not my karma. So many things start to happen when we don't actually really be real with our desires for success and our aspirations and how to healthily address them. Whenever desire is too much in the forefront in an unhealthy way, of course, that's destructive. But whenever desire is also repressed and not allowed to be expressed, it also must be expressed in unhealthy ways as well. Okay, so we want to relate with it in an empowering, upbuilding way. So here's something I want you to get very clearly, is that your soul, your heart, your being was not put on this planet to stagnate. You are not here to stagnate, all right? Whatever was working for you before in your life and your business does not have to continue working for you right now. All right? I'm going to give you some tools for this. Stay with me here. All right, here's 3 ways you can really relate with desire and just respond to life in general. The first is the lowest thing, which is pretty much the consciousness of victimhood and complete stagnancy. This is where you can't be who you want, you can't live the life that you want because of external factors, because of someone else, because of the environment, because that's just how the world is, because that's not what God wants. And you place the blame on pretty much everyone else. And of course, that's one strategy, because victimhood has a certain appeal in that it alleviates the responsibility that you have to yourself. Okay. So while there may be challenging situations outside of yourself that hurt, you are always responsible for your experience of life and for creating your experience of life, regardless of what's happening outside of you. And the victimhood strategy is just like steeping in the resentment and the fear and the stagnation and just kind of rotting away, just fermenting, just can't do anything about my situation, can't do anything about my life. The second strategy is a little bit better than this, and many, many people employ this one too, where it's pretty much a strategy of avoidance. So you see what you don't want, right? Here's the pain and the suffering, and, you know, I don't want to be unhealthy. I don't want to be overweight. I don't want to be broke. So use those fears, what you don't want, propels you forward to just take any action to avoid the pain of whatever it is that you're trying to avoid. Okay. And many people do this, right? Like, my mom was broke, so now I'm going to be, you know, the hustler, and I'm going to hustle hard. And like, even though you're not truly happy, you're avoiding being broke, right? Or you get ripped because, you know, your dad was overweight or whatever it is. And now like you're a wimpy and bullied as a kid or whatever it is. And now you use that negative, you know, experience to fuel you and to prove that you're okay. All right. So of course, this is a step up from victimhood, because at least you're doing some forward moving action. But a lot of the times this is just an avoidance strategy. Whereas the step 3, which is ownership, is instead of just looking at what you want to avoid, positively looking at what is for me in this world, what is for me in this life, what is aligned with me and my heart and my desires and my mission, and taking full self-ownership and allowing what needs to happen for your own self-transformation and for that to become a reality to transpire. Okay, so like I said, for this to happen, you have to become more of who you are to receive more of what you want. And it's just aligning yourself with destiny, right? From the thought world, desire world, to actions, habits, etc. That has to be reformed from the inside out. All right, and that's really where the powerful transformations in business come, when you stop blaming everything and everyone else and take full ownership for the results that you're getting. All right. Now, the last thing I want to share here in the desire section is, this is super important. All right. If you don't understand what you're tolerating, you will continue to just feel tons of dissatisfaction and misalignment with how you're moving through the world. All right. What I mean by what are you tolerating means, what are all the parts of your existence? You can put them in this column of this. You can do this exercise. I highly encourage you to do it, and pause this video after I explain. But what are all the things in your life that you're not 100% aligned with? So you can think about any area of your life: your health, your business, your relationship, your spiritual connection, your sense of purpose, your own personal values and ideals. What are you tolerating being out of alignment with? What is it in your life that you're not like 100% a yes for? Okay, so tolerance can be a virtue within our spiritual practices, you know, to tolerate the dualities, the hot and the cold, the pleasure and the displeasure, the honor and the dishonor of this world, and to kind of be stoic, or I don't want to say stoic, but more like equipoise, be okay in yourself regardless of the externals. But really what I want you to zoom in on here is that there's many things that are not helping your character or your spirit advance that you're just simply tolerating. Like having bad health, is that making you spiritually advance? Being broke and like not being able to give back to anybody, is that making you spiritually advance or like morally advance? There's probably many things like that. All right. So then step 2 is write the alternative. So if that toleration was 100% false, what would the alternative look like? Right? So that I'm tolerating making $1,000 a month and barely getting by and feeling like a failure. What's the alternative? Well, now I'm making, $15,000 a month and I have enough to give back to everybody and enough to thrive in everything that I need. Okay. So you can do those for each of your tolerations, big or small. And then the last part of this exercise is, which of these tolerations are you not okay with continuing? Which of these, like when you think about that thing that you're tolerating, you're like, ooh, like I'm done. I feel some emotional charge around it. All right. That's what I want you to begin thinking about here. All right. That's desire. Now, money. So this is an absolutely massive one that you're going to need to master, or else you're really not going to grow in your business whatsoever. And there's so many beliefs around money that I could speak about this for hours, but I'm just going to give a small little dose that hopefully will give you some perspective. So first of all, when we speak about money, we're not really speaking about money. Especially if you have your own business. When you speak about money in your business, you're speaking about your own self-worth, what you think your product or service is worth, what you think other people can afford, or what they're worth, your fears, all the subconscious nonsense and blockages are tied into your beliefs around money, right? Money is greedy. Money is selfish. Money is just for rich people. I don't deserve it. We could go on and on and on and on. So what the essential question I want you to think of is to really think about all the negative beliefs you have around money. This is super important. You could do this in a few minutes and have radical results if you actually do it right. Think about all the negative beliefs you have about money, right? And put those in a list. Then, just like we did with tolerations, what would it be like if the opposite of that belief was true? Okay, and write the alternative belief around money. So, I don't deserve it. The alternative would be, I deserve lots of money, right? It's really hard to attain. Money is super easeful. Money flows into my life very easily. Okay, so just experimenting. You don't have to immediately take on these beliefs, but just as an experiment in consciousness, put these two lists side by side. Then recite the negative list, right? All your negative beliefs, and see how you feel in your body. Then recite the positive list and see how you feel in your body. The question I want to ask you is, what is your goal in life and with your business? If you start a business, it's probably to serve other people and simultaneously have your needs be met and have a sense of purpose, okay? Which of these two columns would be more beneficial for you to adopt for you to reach your goal? Could you serve more people and experience more satisfaction if you had all these negative beliefs around money? Or could you serve way more people if you had the alternatives to all those negative beliefs around money? When it comes to pretty much any power that's available, and if you have, negative judgments around money, this is something that we really need to dive deep into. Many people believe, people who have money are egotistical, greedy, etc., because of course that's, provocative, and that's what we see in the news all the time, and it kind of creates this dichotomy. But if we really did an analysis of wealth, what you would find is there's people who are poor, right? Very little resources, who are fantastic, humble, incredible, loving, selfless people. Okay. And then you would also find people in poverty or without, wealth or resources who are not very developed as far as their character or morality, and who are quite selfish and egotistical and angry and all that. Then if you looked at wealthy people, you'd find wealthy people who are also greedy, envious, egotistical, all those kind of negative showboating qualities. And then you would find wealthy people who are tremendously generous, who are loving, who are selfless, who are not attached to the fame and the glitter and all that. So would it not be really helpful to shift from the kind of poverty category, or the poverty mindset, I should say, to a wealth mindset where you having more means everybody having more? Where what would it be like, for instance, if you earned so much that you could give more of your income to others and to your projects and to your community and family than you take for your own pay? What would that be like, for instance? Okay, the last thing I want to say about this is pretty much any opulence, any empowerment in this world, whether that's beauty, knowledge, money, strength, fame, all of those things are potential energies that are neutral in themselves. What do I mean by that? They can be used for good or bad, right? I always ask people this question: is a knife good or bad? So people will say, well, it depends on how you use it, right? So a knife can be used by a surgeon to heal somebody and, put them back together. A knife can also be used by a thief to cut somebody. So in the same way, all these things, beauty, money, fame, power, strength, are neutral energies. And whatever the character is of that person is going to be amplified the more that they have those things. So greedy, selfish, nasty people will amplify their greed and nastiness if they have a tremendous amount of money. That's what will come out. It'll be amplified. Loving, caring, kind people who are tremendously wealthy, that is what will be amplified. So what most people end up doing is they see the negative examples of all those, quote unquote, empowerments of money, fame, power, prestige, strength, etc., knowledge, and they think, okay, well, if that's what that looks like, I don't want those things. So instead of rising your own personal integrity and character to the standard where you can use the increased level of resource and money and whatever it is, you just avoid the money and the resource because it's bad, right? But my personal belief is that would it not be tremendously more helpful to you and to your mission and to your service and to the world to increase your standard of integrity with every increasing level of resource that you want to call into your life? Just think about that for a second. All right, so step 3 is mentorship. Now, this part is not to be overlooked whatsoever. If you want to basically become good at anything, especially your business, you have to have a mentor, right? You want to become a doctor, you have to have a mentor. You can read books about becoming a doctor or surgeon, but who will trust you to do surgery, right? Your business also is such an intimate, powerful thing that needs guidance. Okay, so you may have mastery over your skills, like whatever your trade is or whatever your product is, but probably speaking, you don't have conscious training in entrepreneurship and sales and lead generation and helping clients overcome their objections and so many things like that. So mentorship, when you choose to have a mentor, your choice to enhance your own mastery will be exponentially evident, and then that will become fuel for anybody else to make the same steps. So here's the thing: you cannot help any of your clients do what you have not done already, or at least it'll be very ineffective or less effective than you desire it to be at its highest potential. And part of it is, if you're asking people to hire you, but you have not really hired your own coach and gone deep with that and really, really gone all in with some mentorship, how do you expect other people to do that with you if you haven't done it yourself? We could speak about this forever. Like how could you get people to overcome money blocks in signing up with you if you haven't overcome your own money blocks and invested tremendous amounts into your own business and own wellness? All right, so part of this mentorship component is to take yourself out of your comfort zone and be lovingly guided by someone who's already done it, right? You want to place yourself in the hands of someone who deeply cares about you, who sees your goodness, who sees that good in you and wants to fan that spark, right? To blow on that spark and to make it bigger and bigger and have your goodness shine into the world. That's really what mentorship is about. And in my opinion, the best way to make an exponential change in your business is to hire a really, really fantastic coach that charges a lot of money that you have no idea how you're going to get. Why? Well, you're going to use that price tag to show yourself what you're capable of. And this is especially true in business, when it comes to business. For instance, if you lead coaching programs or training programs and you're like, yeah, you could come for $1, right? How much leverage does that create? How much urgency, how much pressure does that create for someone to really get the full results that you want them to get out of your program? There's not much invested. There's not much at stake. So when you find someone who, first of all, can really, really guide you, and they've already done it themselves with whatever the process is, and then simultaneously charges a good amount that feels a little intimidating, when you put those two together, it brings out this part of you that has to step up to the plate. And you don't have to do it alone because you have a guide. So you don't even have to know how you're going to do it. All you have to do is be willing to show up and show yourself what you're capable of. So for instance, when I hired my first coach, I was early on in my business. So I was making maybe $2,000 to $5,000 a month, which for me at the time felt exciting. But then to a certain point, it felt like, okay, if I really want to have my vision and I want to start my own retreat center and I want to give back to my teachers and support a whole family on my own and have my own house, I'm going to need to step up a bit or just like get a normal job. And for me, getting a normal job was not an option. I want to do exactly what I love every day. And so I was speaking to this coach. I knew we were extremely aligned. They had helped some of my friends before, basically 12 times their income. And I knew that I had to sign up, and I was just like, oh my gosh, yes, like I have to do this. I just felt it in every cell of my body. Like, I'm done being less than, I'm done tolerating, I'm done playing it small. I know I have a lot more to give, just in a grounded way. And they said the price of my program is $27,000. And that was like, that was like a thunderbolt to my heart, because I've never spent anywhere near that amount of money in my life at that point. And that was more than my entire life savings. So I was mind blown that you could even charge that amount of money. And I was like, oh, like, why don't you just charge half of that? You know, like my mind started to go to all these different things. And they're like, you know what? I have charged half of that. And people are still happy to waste that amount of money and not make the change. And so it got to this point where I was lovingly being guided, and I said yes. And I know it sounded crazy at the time, but it immediately felt like a surge of empowerment entered my body, because I was like, you know what, universe, Krishna, like, I'm all in. I'm all in on my mission. All the chips are on the table. This is what I'm here to do. And I'm using faith. I'm using, every ounce of my heart to make this decision. And within 5 or 6 weeks, I made all of that money back and paid for the program in full, and pretty much 8 or 10 times my income in the span of 5 weeks. And that completely blew my mind. And that was before I even started getting one-on-one support with my coach. Okay. So before the program even started, I made that $24,000, $27,000 back through my business by starting a training program. I had 22 people sign up, and that for me was mind-blowing, because my expectations for that training program before I hired her were extremely low. I was like, I'll have 5 people at $1,000 each, and that for me was like edgy at the time. And I got 22 people at $1,500 each, and that was tremendous for me. So and everyone had an incredible time in that program, and I wouldn't have dared to have that many people if I didn't hire that coach. So then I went on to repeat that process over and over again and get to the point where I am. And once you make that multiplication effect in your business, it's just a matter of doing the process again, and you can keep going with your income. So that blew my mind open. That's why mentorship is so important, because you see your blind spots. They get a light shined right on them, bright and clear, and all your blockages come to the surface, and you're called to a completely new standard of operating while being lovingly guided by someone who's already done it. That's just a no-brainer. Okay. Oops, here we go. So step 4 is decide to change. All right. So you could do steps 1, 2, and 3, right? You could, be connected to yourself, know your gift. You could desire more in your life, and you could even hire somebody to help you. But unless you do step 4, nothing has happened yet, because you can hire somebody and still not decide to do the work. And it's an interesting phenomenon, right? Which is, of course, why having a high price tag is a really incredible tool. Having at least one high-end offering. You can have lower-end offerings and free offerings even. But for people to work with you at the highest levels, it's really great. And to have tremendous impact on people, it's great to have a higher ticket item for sure. So any change that you make in your life is going to feel like a partial death. It's going to feel like this guy right here skydiving. So, you pay somebody to take you skydiving. You ride up in the plane. You are kind of excited because you feel the possibility, right? You hired somebody. So you did steps 1, 2, and 3 of this process. And now you're hired somebody and you're up in a plane. And now it's coming time for your turn. And your subconscious mind is absolutely freaking out because biologically speaking, every cell in your body is going crazy. It's like, you are not meant to jump out of a plane. If you're not a bird, you will die. You will absolutely die if you jump out of this plane. That is what your body and your mind is telling you. And so your palms will start sweating, your breath will change, your mind will become anxious, maybe your body will become more tense. And that is an indication of you standing on the edge of a great change and possibility in your life. So maybe if you're feeling part of that while watching this, that is an indication of what is available for you in your life. Most people, what they'll do is, first of all, they'll never go up in the plane and feel the contrast of, oh my gosh, this is what's available for me in life. This change is right in front of me. If I just get the courage to do it, most people will let that die back down and just not change and stay comfortable. And that's pretty much what your subconscious mind is wired to do. You've probably been operating on a lot of those subconscious blockages for many, many years and may not even have an awareness of many of them. But they will certainly all show up when it comes time to actually decide to change. You could think about changing, you could contemplate it, you can vision board it, but when it comes time to really be all in and make the jump, that is when you'll be confronted for real by all your fears. And you're going to experience that in your business when people are going to sign up for you and they're like, oh yeah, like I want to make this change and I'm so excited to work with you. And then it comes time for them to pay you, right? And then it's like, oh, well, actually this fear and that fear, and I don't have the money and I don't have the time, and what if it doesn't work? And like, that's when it's all going to show up, is when the actual decision is in front of you. So we want to be able to understand how to lovingly relate with that subconscious mind and to be able to make exponential change anyway, even with all the messaging that it's giving us. Because that subconscious mind, which I like to think of like this little doll, right? I have this little one here, right? Here's your subconscious mind. It's like, I can't do it. I'm scared, whatever it is. All these little messages are trying to keep you safe, right? This is designed when you're a little kid to keep you safe. It's trying to keep you loved, keep you safe. All the roles that we play, the small one, the quiet one, the smart one, the dumb one, the funny one, all those roles we play are not arbitrary. They're not things we do to self-sabotage. They are what we've developed in our mindset so that we can stay safe and we can stay loved. And the thing is, we don't want to hate on this part of us. So many people do that. They're like, no, shut up. Like, I don't need that part of me that's fearful and, has all these subconscious blockages. This part of you is on your team. It just doesn't have all the updates. It doesn't know the big vision that you're trying to go to is safe and possible and real and loving and caring. Um, so that's going to show up for you. All right. So when, this skydiving analogy is absolutely perfect for this. You're going to come to the point where you have to decide to change. So what that really means is this little guy, your subconscious mind, is allowed. You just don't want them in the driver's seat of your life anymore, right? When you're trying to go a new direction, this guy's definitely going to kick and scream and moan, but you just don't want to let him be in the front seat of your life anymore. I'm driving. I will set time to care for you later, and that scared part of yourself that's confronted by whatever change you're trying to make. And right now, I have to be in the front seat of my life. Okay, so this is such a tender moment, such an intimate moment that you can do for yourself by hiring a mentor, by making exponential change in your business. But also, once you've done that, you can help so many people with their same fears and subconscious blockages to also jump out of this plane. Because here's the thing, and this is my last point here. Once you jump out of that plane and you experience the freedom of flying through the air and having an incredible time and then landing on the ground safely, your mind cannot undo that experience emotionally. Now, like, okay, the ground, sticking to your subconscious, like that's considered like the ground level, right? The ground is safe and nice. We like the ground. We like safety and security, but also this level of adventure and freedom and expansiveness is available for me simultaneously. And once you jump out of that plane and have that experience, you know that realm is also safe and available for you. So when I made that jump to 8 or 10 times my income, I can't undo that, right? I can't go back to 2 or 5,000, whatever it is, and be, aligned with that anymore, because I understand what's available, how much I can serve people when I'm earning more, and how it's actually a lot easier to earn a lot more money than it is to earn a lot less money. Okay. All right, so step 5 is strategy. Once you've made your way through steps 1 through 4, step 5 is just a natural conclusion, the natural manifestation of those first 4 steps. Okay, this is basically how you connect you, your vision, your heart, your service, your product, and understand your client, their problems, their struggles, their desires, their aspirations, their fears, how you understand both of those, and then connect the bridge between the two. Now, the bridge between you and your vision and your talents and the people who need it is your business. The bridge is your business. And you need some basic level strategy for that to be thriving. Now, I don't believe you need a tremendous amount of time to figure this out, right? Here's how I help people. Here's what I feel incredible about helping people with. That's my program. Here's my pricing. Here's the timing. Here's the people I know who would love this. And of course, there's so much we could add on to this. But that basic strategy should be natural. That's the point I want to make. It's just should be flowing from your heart, right? This is the fruit of your business. This is what you're here on the planet to do. This is what you're offering to the world. It should be coming through with ease. And if it's not, what you have to do is go back to step 1. Connecting with ease, connecting with yourself, connecting with gratitude, connecting with your vision in a deep way, and then go through those steps again and then come back to strategy. So as long as the planning and strategy part of your business is not fun and it feels like hard work, you're disconnected, right? You're not operating from a place of vision and connection and ease and gratitude. You're connecting from a place of scarcity and fear and struggle and hard work. And that's not where you want to create from. So don't do that to yourself. All right. And now the last thing, and probably the most important as far as getting you the results that you want, is step 6, which is conscious sales mastery. So this is a massive part of the work that I do with people, and it's absolutely essential. And there's a lot of blockages that people have around money in general, and even more so around sales, because now you're introducing relationship with money and asking people for money. So some of you may not have an issue with that, but my guess is you probably do. And if you don't, think about doubling or tripling or 5-timesing the price of your program and asking somebody for that. You might have some reservation around that. So the reason most of us have not mastered sales is because we haven't been taught. What we have been taught and what we've observed in society is really bad examples of sales happening. You know, the used car salesman, the telemarketer, whatever it is, you know, the guys on Facebook ads that are trying to sell you into their things and trick you or twist your arm or you know, convince you to pay them. And that is really not what we want to do, because you're trying to operate a conscious business, a loving business. That's a natural expression of your heart. And you want every part of your business to be aligned. So obviously that strategy doesn't work. So I think many entrepreneurs avoid mastering sales because they don't want to be pushy. They don't want to be salesy. They don't want to be just about the money, right? There's so much we could deconstruct there, but that's been our poor example of sales, because that poor example of sales is not taking into consideration at all. Do you really need this? Do you really want it? How willing are you to have it? What are the blockages and fears you have around having it? And being lovingly guided by someone who's actually quite neutral, because they just want to serve you, whether that involves hiring them or paying them or not. That is what conscious sales looks like. When you show up to somebody, get to know them in their life, find out what they want, find out what's blocking them, find out what their fears are. And if all of that aligns with what it is that you're trying to actually give them, or what you actually offer in your business, then and only then is the point at which you offer your product or service to them. You want to hear about what I do and what my service and product is? Oh yeah, absolutely. So then you share with them, and what will happen is all of their fears about deciding to change will come up then. So if someone is not aligned with you, you want to have the integrity to be like, you know what, I think you're not aligned. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but here's some other resources I can send you to. Here's some other referrals for you, and have a beautiful day. And I'm here if you ever need anything. Or if they do want what you have and are aligned, then generally there's a whole process that will happen around them deciding to change. And most people will have objections around money, around time, or let me talk to my husband or wife, let me think about it for a long time. And what that is an opportunity to dive deeper with them, because if they want it, then there's nothing else to talk about other than for them to pay you, because you can't say yes to working with me and not pay me. So there's something else happening there, that they want it, but they're scared. And if you understand conscious sales mastery and how to lovingly hold somebody and clarify what is happening in their heart and what's blocking them and the subconscious things that are happening, that's going to really clarify. Maybe they don't actually want it, right? That's okay. You want to be so dedicated to serving them that you want to see them thrive, even if that doesn't involve you. But if they do want it, you want to help them move through all those fears in a loving, compassionate, empowered way that helps them make the jump. So all those objections that I just named, all of those are not real reasons to not work with you or to not sign up for your program. And that's what I teach people how to really do. So we want to learn sales as a service, not sales just as a way to have your financial goals met, because nobody is responsible for your financial goals other than you. And the reason this step is so important is because nothing will meet your financial goals other than sales. No amount of marketing, no amount of advertising, no amount of Instagram posts, Instagram stories, website building, blog posts, whatever it is. All those things are fine, but none of those are sales. And when we speak about helping people, for someone to cross the bridge, they have to pay the toll. Okay, you might have free things, that's, your videos, Instagram posts, maybe free webinars, whatever it is. But if someone wants to actually work with you deeper in your business, which, by the way, if you have a business, it means you're making money, or else you just have a hobby or you like to do community service. That's also okay, and you can be real with that. But if you want to help somebody cross the bridge and pay the toll, you have to learn the art of mastering conscious, loving sales as a service. So just giving you a high-level overview of what it is that I do now that you have the right mindset. I take conscious entrepreneurs, whether you've started your own business or whether you're just in the process of formulating it. Generally, I like to work with people who already have their stuff together and are already making some level of money. But if you have a really clear, awesome plan and skills and some strategy, and you want to just make that come alive, that is something I'm absolutely happy to help you with as well. But basically what we're going to do is lead you through that process. First of all, getting all your vision, your clarity right, your mindset, your goals, all of that right in your own self. Then second, we really want to zoom in on your ideal client, how to find them, who are they, where are they, and really get clear about how it is that you want to serve them. What are their fears? What are their desires? And then most importantly for the income component of this whole thing is to really master the art of conscious sales. So we're going to dive deep into that, and I've seen absolutely tremendous results. So I'll just share one of my clients who is a single mother, who is a cancer survivor, yoga teacher. She went from making about $1,200 to $1,500 a month to 10 timesing that income within about 6 or 7 weeks of working with me. And while I was speaking with her, she was crying. She was saying, you have not only changed my life, but you've changed the life of my daughter, because now I can send her to school. Now I can pay for my parents' house. Now I can go to India every year on pilgrimage. Now I can give back to my gurus and my teachers. Now I can have my own home, etc. So now we're taking her to 30K and beyond, and that's just in a relatively short period of time. So these are the types of things that are available, and I don't have any interest to really teach egotistical people how to just make a ton of cash so they can exploit others and while out. But when it comes to helping huge-hearted entrepreneurs, why would I not want the best people in the world to have the most resources, right? When I think about it, someone with really high integrity and low resources, I think that's a martyr, right? If you have high level of character, but you have very little resources, that typically results in martyrdom and self-sacrifice. If you have low level of character and high level of resources, that typically results in kind of egotistical celebrity kind of person, okay? And then if you have high level of integrity and high level of resources, that creates a hero, right? That creates a superhero. Any superhero you can think of has high character and also a high level of access to power and resources. So that's what I want to create with all of you, is just an army of superheroes who are boldly bringing their service, their skills, their love, their care into the world in a way that's abundant for everybody. Your next steps are to really go through the writing assignments of this video, really clarify your vision, how you relate with money, how you relate with your desires, all the blockages, tolerations that you're experiencing, and what would it be like to add a zero to your monthly income? What would it be like to step into 6 or 7 figure you? I want to hear from you on that and bring that into our session together. All right. Hope you have a beautiful day. Incredibly grateful, excited, and honored to serve you soon.